Hey, welcome to our walkthrough / discussion of our video game Midnight Snack. So Midnight Snack was a game developed for the SWIBO balance board, and the player plays the game by using their phone set inside of the balance board to control the movements of the raccoon player character. There are a number of different mechanics that take this input from the balance board and move the raccoon in different ways depending on how the balance board is moved in real world space. For regular walking around movement, the raccoon just responds to whichever direction the board is tilted in and speeds up or slows down depending on how steep the angle of the tilt of the board is. We then have other movements which encourage different ways of interacting with the board: pushing, climbing, balancing, and wiggling. Pushing and climbing have very similar ways of interacting with the board in that they just require the player to lean in a specific direction for a period of time. Balancing asks the player to physically balance as close to the center of the board as they can without tilting in any one direction too much. Wiggle objects ask the player to tip the board from side to side, left to right. Whether they do it quickly or not doesn't matter for the game, but if they do it quickly then they can get a better time, so it is encouraged. We also created breakable objects, things that could be destroyed either by the player knocking them onto the ground or just from the player making contact with them, to encourage people to kind of explore the levels and just have fun with it and see what they were able to do with the raccoon while on the balance board. The breakable objects also contributed to making the space feel more real and more interesting for the game to exist in. The tutorial level begins with the player in a courtyard space. There are UI pop-ups, both of a GIF image showing the raccoon on a balance board and some text describing what the player should do. The UI text updates throughout the level. Right now it's asking the player to just run around a little bit, and then it indicates to the player that they're able to climb up on the vine-covered walls directly in front of them. When the player reaches the top of the vine-covered wall, the UI prompt lets them know that they should look around for some food to pick up. There's a box in front of them with paw prints on it indicating they can probably climb it, and on top of those boxes is a sandwich. Once they've picked up that sandwich, they're then able to continue on to the next section of the level. There's some breakable objects around here that the player can run into and smashy smash. And then in front of them is a pipe. When they interact with that pipe, they'll begin balancing, and a tutorial UI pop-up will describe to them how they should balance in the center of their board in order for them to be able to go forward over the balance object. When they reach the other side of this balance object, they'll find the pigeon with a little thought bubble indicating that he wants the sandwich. Once the sandwich is given to the pigeon, he'll make a little celebration noise and start dancing. There's a second balance object for the player to get over. Once they reach the other side of that balance object, they'll see a crate with paw prints on it indicating that they should try and interact with it. A UI tutorial pop-up then describes that this box with paw prints is able to be pushed by the player if they lean into it, similar to the climbing mechanic. The crate is pushed off of the ledge that the player is on and then over the ground, and allows them to climb up onto the next section of the level. Over to the player's right, they find the apple and a second crate. The crate is pushed to the left and allows them to then drop down into the final section of the level. The last UI pop-up shows a GIF and text image describing how the player should tip the board from side to side in order to help the raccoon wiggle through small gaps. There is a gap in the fence that the player is then able to wiggle through. After successfully completing the fence wiggle, the player then moves forward to a pile of pallets that they are able to wiggle underneath. After going through the pile of pallets, They'll then find a fox waiting to eat the apple that they've brought with them, and the tutorial level is finished. So when you begin Scavenger Hunt, directly to the player's right, they'll see some raccoon paw prints indicating that they should go up some stairs. At the top of the stairs, they'll find an apple lying in a pile of empty spray cans. In front of them, they'll then see a box with paw prints on it, indicating they need to push it. They push this box forward and onto a pile of wooden pallets where they'll find a pigeon waiting to eat the apple they collected. Then to the player's left, there'll be another push box. Once this box has been pushed over to the left side of the level, they'll be able to climb on top of some trash cans that has a tasty sandwich waiting on top of it, as well as lots of fun breakable jars. That jar just yeeted off. Wow. There's also lots of breakable pots over in the picture. With the sandwich, the player can then continue forward into the level where they'll come across a road sign that they'll need to wiggle under. Over to the right side of the top of the level, they'll then find the squirrel who's waiting to eat the sandwich that they collected on top of the garbage bins. Just down from the squirrel, they'll be able to climb on top of some wooden benches where a burger is waiting for them. They can then wiggle between a pushed over post box and a newspaper stand to find a fox waiting for the burger. So in Balanced Diet, you start off on the ground, and to your left there is a ladder. When you go up that ladder and go around the corner to your left, you'll find your first piece of food. Then around the corner to your right is a balance wire. When you've balanced over that, directly in front of you is a box that you climb up, and once you're on top of this ledge, you'll find your first animal, a fox, waiting for that first item of food. Once you've dropped off that first food item, you'll go forward and over to your left, you'll find a push box. You push this box off of the ledge and onto the ground, across to the other side of the level, where it will allow you to climb onto a ladder, a fire escape ladder, up onto a balcony. When you reach the top of this balcony, you'll be able to go forward over a washing line and pick up a sandwich, and then bounce over a pipe. You'll then climb up on top of some vents where you'll find a pigeon, and you'll give him that sandwich that you picked up. After dropping off the sandwich, you're then able to push a box off of the vents and onto the ground. You push this box over to a set of metal shelves, which you can then climb up and find a burger waiting for you on top. Once you've picked up that burger, you drop that off to a squirrel who's been waiting patiently on the ground while you've been playing. When you complete a level, the time it took you to finish that level is displayed along with the win screen to give the player the ability to either compete against themselves or against others, and also an indication of progress when they can beat their own time again, because they've either gotten better at the game or they've gotten more competent with the SWIBO board. Dining in begins with the player in a backyard space. Over to the player's left, there's a pile of boxes with a sandwich on top and a pushable box. You push the pushable box off of the pile and over to the garden shed, which then allows you to climb both the box and on top of the shed. There is also some pots that you can break, which Hayden's gone and done. Once you're on top of the shed, some pots of paint will guide you onto a washing line, which is a bounce object. After bouncing over the washing line, you'll be able to enter into the garage through a window, knocking off some vases and breaking them in the process. Directly in front of the window is a pushable box, and off to the right of the player after coming through the window there's a second pushable box. After pushing the first box, you'll encounter the pigeon who will eat the sandwich that you picked up back in the yard. You'll then break some more stuff on the shelves as you go past a glowing red button. The red button will turn green and the garage door will open after you've pressed it. Moving the second pushable box allows you to pick up an apple. Going back to where the button is, you can climb a ladder and then go across a vent to a balcony of a second building. To the player's right, they'll find the animal who wants to eat the apple they picked up. There's also lots of fun smashy pots that you can push over and break on the ground in front of you. Lots of smashy stuff. After coming off of that roof, you'll be on the front of the driveway by the garage door that you just opened. Continuing across that driveway, you'll come across a picnic table with chairs. There's a burger sitting on top of the picnic table. After picking up the burger, return to the inside of the garage and give the burger to the fox that's waiting inside.